You're listening to Tavern Sports Radio Network.
Show me the money! Show me the money! Show me the money! Welcome to the 61st episode of Show Me the Money. We got a short crew today, fellas. It's myself, we got Mr. Tyler Hill, and we got Josh Hill. So the two brothers over here. Oh, Ty, nice hat there.
Appreciate it, buddy. Pick you one up at insert store link here.
Tavern-sports.square.site if you're wondering where they get one of these Tavern Sports hats. Well, welcome to the Show Me the Money podcast. We are back with our, like I mentioned, our 61st episode today. Quick look at the standings. Parker now officially in first place. He's not able to join us today. He switched back to third shift, so it's a little bit hard for him to join right now. Oh, there, Josh has his hat.
I didn't get the memo. I had to go get it.
Nice hats, fellas. As I mentioned, Parker leading the crew in the Lock of the Week standings, 8-4. So he's making some money there. Clark, 7-5. He couldn't join us today because his Wi-Fi sucks. As you guys know, his Wi-Fi has always been bad. So the fact that he has no Wi-Fi right now, a little bit funny. It's like finally complain to your landlord and something might happen.
Yeah, I don't know. He lives in a shanty town with that fucking Wi-Fi.
Wisconsin's a shit state.
He would have better Wi-Fi if he went to the McDonald's down the street, let's be honest.
Live from location.
Somehow he is still 7-5. And then myself, I'm just a game ahead of Cole and John. I'm 6-5 with a push, and John and Cole are 6-6. So
technically half a game. Get fucked.
Yeah, you're right. Josh, you're one game behind technically. You're 5-7, and then Tyler, 3-9, dude. How in the fuck do you add another loss there, man? You just wanted to bet against Auburn because you were going to that game?
Yeah, and drinks were flowing early. We put a 10-uniter down on that.
Ooh.
That's why your bankroll's dead? That's why you're a deposit boy?
Shit happens.
Yikes,
Shit happens,
man.
for sure. General Booty did not play the entire game. As I thought he was. General Booty comes in garbage time and marches ULM down the field to score a touchdown late. Not how you wanted to go into halftime down 24. They come out, they give up a touchdown, they score a touchdown. I'm like, are we fighting here? No. So that was that week, I guess.
Well, 3-9. If you haven't been not tailing, if you haven't been
fading,
thank you. If you haven't been fading Ty already, there's still plenty of time. I promise you that. We are gonna take a quick look at our Heisman hopefuls, I believe. Josh, are these updated?
Yeah, we're only gonna give you 3 because after Cam it was like plus 3,500. So Travis Hunter's your leader in the clubhouse, minus 350. I mean, he's kind of running away with it at this point. Following him, Ashton Genty at plus 390. He's not going to get there. He's off pace. It's just not going to happen. And then Cam Ward, best quarterback in the country. Well, I don't know about best quarterback in the country, but the one that's playing the best, Allen, one of the best teams in the country at plus 1,400.
Yeah, this is Travis Hunter's award. Genty really needed those games where he sat out in the second half or fourth quarter. He needed a couple 5-6 touchdown games to really be able to seal the deal here. And unless he goes the next couple weeks running 300 yards and a couple touchdowns, he's cooked. So
agreed.
Yeah, I would say, and that's probably why it's still only like plus 390, because like you said, Ty, you know what? He's got 2 more weeks and then presumably the Mountain West Championship. So 3 weeks or 3 games. If he goes for 400 and 5-6 touchdowns in all of those, he's right back there, up in there. But
And then number 3 you got listed is Cam Ward. Did Miami lose again?
I don't think so.
They lost to Georgia Tech.
Okay,
and
so that was
that's
earlier.
pretty just unexcusable as is. So
Fair enough.
yeah, I think this is the year that there's just no clear-cut quarterback standout. Strictly mostly because there has not been one team that is like, this is who's winning the championship this year. Oregon's played a clean schedule so far, but with Oregon, you never know. Like, they've played a couple of close games. They haven't really had the best strength of schedule. So
They
Yeah,
almost
Dylan
lost to Idaho. Don't forget about that. They almost lost to Idaho.
Dylan
Yeah.
Gabriel did not do anything impressive against Wisconsin this last weekend, so that doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
being
And I
just a
believe
team guy-
Gabriel was 4th. No, Gabriel's 5th.
Curtis
Indiana,
Rourke?
yeah, the Indiana quarterback. He's a 4th at plus 3,000. That's why I cut it down to 3.
Good choice.
Yep.
Well, speaking of the Big Ten, we're going to start it off with our favorite Big Ten team. The Iowa Hawkeyes take on Maryland in Maryland. Maryland is a 6.5-point underdog, which seems, you almost want to say that feels like a lock for Iowa, but does anybody know who our quarterback is this weekend?
It's our linebacker.
Yeah, it is.
Fuck.
We are stuck on our 5th string practice squad walk-on linebacker from Colorado State, who is our starting quarterback. Caleb Johnson is going to touch the ball 87 times this game.
And Moulton. I would assume Moulton gets quite a few touches here.
Yeah. His under passing yards could be set at 49.5, and I'm still taking the under. He didn't look the worst he ever could against UCLA, which has a good defense, but it's hard to trust Iowa here. Our defense is going to have to score. Deacon's going to have to pin them back fucking deep. Johnson's going to have to be out of his mind. Moulton's going to have to be out of his mind. I personally wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole, strictly because you have a kid playing quarterback who probably hasn't actually played meaningful snaps at quarterback since high school.
Well, but he's had a full week, 2 full weeks. We were on by last week. So he's had 2 full weeks of practice.
I don't think that's enough in Division One football.
I watched Cade McNamara have fucking a full season to learn the system, and that motherfucker got gun shy and couldn't throw.
I'm just like, it's not like the kid has had 4 days. He's had time to get under center and work a little bit.
I did see that our center did say that everybody feels pretty similar except for this new guy. He said he feels the best under there. So
he likes that grundle touch.
Yeah, take that as you will. But
that fucking center quarterback exchange better be flawless.
Listen, if it's gonna happen against anybody, it might as well be Maryland. I mean, they're bad. They're so bad.
I'm not touching this game. Official pick, I'm not touching this game.
Do we have
under 45.5?
Do we have a backup quarterback for this game or no? Like if he's hurt,
it's college. We have like 9 of them. They're all
hurt. On a practice squad because McNamara has a phantom concussion, out for the season. Sullivan is now out with an ankle injury.
Correct.
Third stringer broke his hand in practice 3 weeks ago. Fourth stringer is playing wide receiver. And now we're on number 5, who was a practice squad pull-up. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Kirk Ferentz says, if this guy goes down, Caleb Johnson's running the fucking Wildcat. And we run read options with him and Moulton the entire game. And you know what? We might actually hit the over if we do that.
They are 2 over teams. I was still 8-2, Maryland 7-3. But there's just no way. Because Maryland's going over because the other teams are scoring 50 fucking points. It's not because Maryland's scoring points. So I think the under is actually a safe one here. gun to my head, I'm taking Iowa minus the 6.5. Our defense will score 14. Be fine.
I agree. I think
There is no quarterback listed besides Jackson Stratton. He's still listed as the number 2, and Brendan Sullivan is listed as the number 1. This is as 4 days ago, but it's already came out and said that Jackson Stratton is starting the game. So
you said our 4th stringer is playing wide receiver. We just pull him back over and it'll be fine.
He is
everything's fine.
I mean, we don't fucking use wide receivers anyway. Why we have a guy that transitioned out to wide receivers beyond me. But it's probably going to be that guy or fucking the Wildcat. I mean, I coached the fullback in high school. So
does he have an arm?
Fucking not at all, but his name's Rusty. So let's fucking get Rusty in there and see what that motherfucker can do.
Rusty Wallace.
That just screams an Iowa name, Rusty. So
I guarantee you his dad is a number 2 Miller Lite car fan. I guarantee it.
So yeah, we're pretty much fucked here, boys.
You're also negative, man.
Number 41, Rusty Van Wetsinga, by the way. 2nd string fullback, redshirt freshman.
Okay.
Certified.
Give me Iowa the cover. Give me the under of the game. I agree with Josh. I think of all the games this year, I understand we've seen both of these teams go over. I think this game is going to be so fucking ugly. Especially, I think offensively, this is going to be one of the worst offensive games of the year. And not just for Iowa, I mean for both teams. So give me Iowa to cover, but give me the under for sure. I think this is more like a 30-point game.
Yeah. Classic Iowa game here.
If that. They could score. There could be 2 touchdowns in this game with like 4 field goals. And so they score, 20 points, 25 points. So
let's get to a good game. What do you guys think?
Let's hear it.
Yeah. Indiana at Ohio State at noon. It's big noon kickoff. Again, Fox ruining primetime football that this isn't a 7:00 game. Ohio State's favored by 13.5. Total 51.5. Am I the only one that thinks that's a lot of points?
I mean, Indiana's thrown up a ton of points this season. However, in those games for Ohio State against tough opponents, the scoring really hasn't been there. They scored 20 against Penn State. They scored 31 against Oregon, but Oregon's not known to be a defensive powerhouse. They had another
21 against Nebraska.
Yeah.
35 against Iowa's defense, which isn't. It's still an Iowa defense, but it's not nearly as good as it's been.
Well, and our offense didn't move the ball, so they were
exhausted.
22 possessions on offense.
They got held to 7 points in the first half. They looked great. They were so tired by the time the second half came around.
Yeah. Either way. Yeah, I don't know. They don't score a ton against great teams. I don't know if Indiana's that yet. I like the points because I think Curtis Rourke and Indiana are going to have to turn this into a shootout. I don't think they win a slugfest.
So if you think it's going to be a shootout, I mean, these guys have a handful of like opponents. Indiana put up 56 on Nebraska, and Ohio State only put up 21. What was the other one? Ohio State put up 38 on Michigan State. Indiana put up 47. So when it comes, when you consider like opponents, Indiana kind of lets that shit hang around, like hang out on people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the fan favorite pick here is Indiana.
I disagree. It's moved a point in the last 24 hours in Ohio State's favor.
I'm saying the casual fan is wanting Indiana to win this game.
I agree.
I also would love to see Indiana win this game. However, it is hard to say I'm going to put my money against Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins this game. I hope Indiana keeps it close, strictly for playoff sense. I'd like to see Indiana get in there and see what they can do. But this is just a weird line. It feels like too much. I feel like the public potentially by the end of this week is going to be on Indiana. And I don't like being with the public, so
Well,
I'll take Ohio State to cover and not love it. I hope I lose that bet.
Ty, you're not completely wrong. I mean, the public is kind of already on Indiana. 68% of the bets are on Indiana to cover a spread of 13 points. So,
What's the money look like though? Can you tell me that stat?
So
yeah, about
the site I'm on has 71% of the bets on Indiana, but that's at plus 16. If you can find plus 16 anywhere, destroy that. And that's with 58% of the money at that plus 16 number.
Yeah, I don't. That site doesn't. I don't know what site you're using, but that just sounds weird because there's not a single book I've seen at 16. Ethan, you say you had some numbers?
Yeah, Green Book has 31% of the money is on Indiana. The other 69% obviously on Ohio State, which I think is probably fair.
So the bets are on Indiana and the money's on Ohio State.
Correct.
That's the side I want to be on. Give me Ohio State. I'll go with the Sharks. I'll go with the money. And there's a chance we lose on that side. But Indiana has not played a tough game this year. Granted, they play who they play, and they've done exactly what they need to do to get to this point of the season. If Indiana was at home, I'd feel better for them. I think Cignetti's going to have them ready. But are you truly ready to cover three wide receivers that would be the number one wide receiver on any other team you've faced this year? I don't know. So I'll go with the money in Ohio State.
If it tells you anything, Indiana somehow right now is plus 2,500 to win the national championship. That would be a very bad bet to make this weekend, or at least before this weekend. And Ohio State is plus 320. They're actually the favorite right now. So, believe it or not, I think that where people are betting on for the books, probably very accurate. I would also very much take Ohio State to win this game. I think I'm going to go against you in the spread. I think I would take Indiana at plus 13.5, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State covered. This is the one true competition Indiana has all year.
Yeah.
I think the money line number here tells you that the public is on Indiana and rooting for Indiana because it's only plus 385. That money line number is way too short.
Plus 385 in a 14.5-point game.
13.5, but yeah.
So the books are like
the books are taking advantage of people.
Yeah.
The books definitely think that it could happen. And the more I talked, I said Ohio State doesn't cover the number or blow out.
They're 5-5 ATS.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I'm on Indiana plus 13. If you're going to give me Cignetti and 13.5 points, I'm going to take it.
I do love Ohio State to win just outright is minus 485, or at least Green Book wise, it's minus 485.
It's 520 on the Blue Book.
Great parlay piece.
Yeah, I actually think I'm more leaning that way the more I think about it. Indiana to cover, and then Ohio, but I still think Ohio State wins this game.
You can
but
get
the more
touchdowns at minus 146.
Yeah, the more I think about Ohio State playing in close games against tough opponents, I just need Cignetti and the boys to stand up and have a backbone a little bit, and just keep it gritty. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting one to watch. So
Tyler, where did you end up officially?
Ohio State money line, Indiana on the spread.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's take a quick look at our next game. We got SMU going into Virginia. What an ugly game.
Yeah, I put this on here because somehow SMU's in their first year or maybe second year in the conference is number one in the ACC.
First year in the conference.
And their path is basically locked in to the ACC championship game. So figure we might as well talk about them.
No, I like it. I haven't watched really any SMU football. I'm sure not a whole lot of people have.
Haven't watched a single snap.
Yeah, however, I have been paying attention to their scores, and they definitely have been running through their conference, as well as their opponents. So I think for the 9.5 point spread, Virginia's a basketball school. Give me SMU.
Yeah, what I think is interesting here, to start, I will also be on SMU in this matchup. But what's interesting is Notre Dame is a one-loss team, ranked sixth in the nation or sixth in the CFB poll. Their loss is to the seventh ranked team in the MAC. SMU's one loss, and they're currently the last team out or the first team out, is to a top 15 team in the country. So schedule bias, conference.
It's name bias. It's Notre Dame gets eyes. Notre Dame sells tickets. Notre Dame gets viewers for commercials.
Correct. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago, the whole ACC conversation, and then Clemson did lose and they're out of it. The ACC is probably only going to be a one-team league.
Same with the Big 12. They're both imploding.
So I think that SMU wins this game, but they have to get all the way, like they have to win out or they're not going to be included. I think that's their only path right now as the number 13 team is to win out.
So you say Clemson's out of it. They're still second. And
unless can Clemson beat their second? Where's Miami?
Third.
Is Clemson only a one-loss?
They've both only lost once in the ACC, but Clemson's played 2 more ACC games, which is probably why their win percentage is better.
Correct.
So I don't know where their tiebreakers, how they work.
Because I know that Clemson has South Carolina the last week.
Yeah, so that doesn't matter.
And I don't know who they have this week. But
not sure.
It's going to come down to SMU, Miami, and Clemson, and only the winner gets in. I don't think there's a justifiably good enough second team for the ACC here. So SMU better hold on and go. However, I don't really prefer SMU over Clemson or Miami in the championship game. So though they're the current 1 seed or the number 1 team in the ACC, I don't see that being a favorable matchup for them come championship game time. So interesting, but I'll take SMU in the game.
So it looks like, okay, tiebreakers. Head-to-head competition between teams is their first tiebreaker. So I have Clemson and Miami played?
No.
No? Okay. Win percentage against common opponents would be the next one, which I assume is where we would end up. So I don't know how that works out between the 2 teams.
Miami has not played Louisville, and Clemson, did they beat Georgia Tech? I have no idea. I don't know their schedules that well, but their losses make this pretty easy to figure out. 1 loss to Louisville, 1 loss to Georgia Tech. So
Clemson has not played Georgia Tech.
And they won't play Georgia Tech.
Correct.
And Miami hasn't.
Yeah, they have the Citadel this week and then South Carolina next week. And the South Carolina game will not factor into any of the tiebreakers.
Yeah. And Miami hasn't played Louisville and won't play Louisville. So it'll go to the next tiebreaker.
So the tiebreaker after that, combined win percentage of conference opponents.
So that's way too deep to dig into. It's
Yeah.
going to depend.
Well, technically, the third one is win percentage versus common opponents based upon finish in the conference, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but again, we already went through their common opponents. Doesn't matter.
So yeah, we're deep into the weeds. They have committees to figure that shit out. But Josh, like you said, they play Citadel in South Carolina. Miami finishes out against 4-6 Wake Forest, and then on the road to 7-3 Syracuse. So 2 ACC opponents to round out the schedule for them. And then the tiebreaker is going to come in. So SMU, like you said, they win out, they get there. So I think that's most important for them is figure it out.
Yeah. We got derailed there a little bit. I'm on SMU minus 9.5 as well. Sorry about that.
All good. All good. All right. Let's look into our next matchup. We've got the red hot Kansas Jayhawks. Man, they have been on fire lately. They play at home, quote unquote, at home against Colorado. Do we know where this game is officially at?
Arrowhead.
It's at Arrowhead.
Kansas is playing all their home games at Arrowhead this year.
No, they've played some at their local NLS stadium.
Those were the non-conference. Any conference games are at Arrowhead.
Okay, that was what my question was. So they're playing at Arrowhead against the Deion
Colorado.
Sanders squad. Kansas is a 2.5-point underdog, over under 59.5 points, so they expect a big shootout. I think I got to go with Colorado on this one. I think I like the offense too much there, and I think that I think Deion is going to be like, you know what? I owned this place back in the day. I'm gonna own it today. Give me Colorado.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on Colorado with you here, Ethan. I mean, they're just a better team. Kansas they've kind of been the spoiler makers of the Big 12. Kansas single-handedly is the reason the Big 12 is not going to have two bids this year, realistically. They've beaten both Iowa State and BYU. You know, if Kansas was the Kansas people thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year, they would probably be the 1 seed and fixing to go into the playoffs. But because they've managed to cannibalize the Big 12 on their own, it really comes down to Colorado here. I don't know the Big 12 standings, but
I mean, you're not wrong. The Kansas has what, 4-6?
4-6.
3-7? Okay, 4-6.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to be the team that probably led that conference.
I think they were like 4th or 5th best odds.
So currently BYU and Colorado are both 6-1 in the Big 12.
Yeah. With Arizona State on the outside looking in, they're looking for a little help.
Iowa State also at 5-2, tied with Arizona State on the outside looking in. BYU has to finish out against Arizona State this week, and then they have Houston, who's a bottom feeder of the Big 12.
So Arizona State controls their own destiny.
Yes.
If they beat BYU, they have the head-to-head tiebreaker.
Correct. And Colorado has Oklahoma State, who has not performed well this year, but is still potentially a decent team.
What are Iowa State's last two? Kansas State and Utah. Utah this week, Kansas State next week.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting race. Again, I believe a one team conference in the playoffs this year.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take Colorado to win this game, but Kansas could play Spoilermaker again for yet another Big 12 team. So
God, wouldn't that be so much fun though? For Colorado, it's simple.
Yeah.
Handle your business, win out, you're in the championship. You have a chance at the playoffs.
Correct. So we'll
honestly, if a 3-loss team would make the playoffs, it would be the Colorado team because they're going to draw so many eyes. But the 3rd loss has to come in the conference championship game. It can't come now.
A 3-loss Colorado's not making it in. However, I would like to see Colorado make it just to see they have the two best players in the country, arguably. Travis Hunter for sure. Shitter,
I would take Cam Ward over Shitter, personally.
to watch that team go and get fucking piss pounded by an SEC powerhouse that has a good D line would be magical.
It'd be funny.
It like you respect to what they've done up there, but this team ain't built the way it's supposed to be built. There's nobody in the trenches. They have nobody on defense. They would give up 50 or 60 to a good SEC team. Ohio's like a Big Ten team would beat them, but a Big Ten team's offense is not good enough to put up as much as like an Ole Miss potentially could against that team, or an Alabama could potentially do against that team. Would be funny. I'll take Colorado this week, though. I think Prime has the boys motivated, and enough shit has been talked about them that they're going to make their way to the championship game.
Yeah. The line's moved since I made this. So it was 2.5. It's now 3.5. I'm going to buy the point back to 2.5 for gambling purposes.
For sure.
But I already said it. Colorado just needs to come out, put belt to ass, and handle their business.
Agreed.
Do we want to get to a game that we just previewed a little bit that really kind of decides one of the teams that's going to make the Big 12 championship game?
Absolutely.
Let's get into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Arizona, BYU going into Arizona State, number 14 versus number 21. Arizona State is hot. They have been hot recently. Scares me to think where they'd be had they not lost to Texas, or sorry, they beat Texas State barely on like a walk-off field goal, right?
That sounds right.
But they lost the next week to Texas Tech. Like,
yeah,
their two losses are not good losses. It's Texas Tech and Cincinnati. They don't really have any good wins, but they're hot at the right time, and that's all that really matters, kind of, with college football.
Yeah, Arizona State, we talked about them. I had mentioned them at least last week. They were a 7-2 team. They're kind of they were under the radar. They were 6.5 point underdogs against somebody.
7.5 to Kansas State.
7.5 points to Kansas State. They ended up winning by 10. So a 17-point swing. Like, I fucking love that. I think Arizona State is on fire. They're at home against the Mormons. I think I gotta go with Arizona State to win this game. The 3.5 number, that does scare me a little bit. I think personally,
it's plus 100, so you can definitely buy the point.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely at least gonna buy the point. I think personally, I'm just gonna stick with the money line. I'm gonna stay away from the spread on this one.
Yeah, I like Arizona State in this matchup. BYU, they have not been super impressive. Losing last week, the week before that, they struggled and had to come back against Utah. Granted, that's a rivalry game. It was on the road. But they just haven't super impressed me. Close win against Oklahoma State, who hasn't done shit this year. They let Baylor hang 28 on them. So barely snuck out a win against SMU. So they've won 1, 2, 3, 4 one-possession games this year. We could be looking at a way different BYU team. So I'm going to take Arizona State just because BYU has kind of used up all their luck, in my opinion. So that's kind of the way I'm leaning.
Yeah, statistically very, very comparable teams. But Arizona State just seems to have the edge in almost every category. Plus, it's a home game. The minus 3.5, I don't like, but I'm going to take Arizona State money line at minus 152 for this one, and just say, hey, you got home field advantage, and this is the best your team's looked in 15, 20 years. Figure it out. You control your destiny. You know? I mean, Big 12 is going to be interesting these next 2 weeks.
You can't script it up any better. You got to win a home game to get into the conference championship game.
Yeah,
Go
and
out
I don't.
and
I mean, I don't know who Arizona State has next week. They have Arizona, so I mean, that's going to be an in-state rivalry game. They could come out shoot themselves in the foot next week, but Arizona's been so bad this year.
All right. Well, let's take a look at our next game. We got a military school. Army headed into Notre Dame. Minus 14.5 points. This looks familiar. Ty?
Yeah, I mean, they beat the fuck out of Navy. Man, I hope these Army boys are up for this one. It's a shame to not see them in the playoffs right now. Just strictly off strength of schedule. If they win this game, they're knocking on the committee's door, looking at them like, what else do you need us to do? Notre Dame, you lose this game, you've lost to NIU and Army. You're out as a non-conference team. I'm super torn. Would I love to see Army mop the floor with Notre Dame? Yes. Would I love to see the triple option make it to the playoffs? Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
I'm a fucking American. I would love that. But do I also have a plus 700 parlay to make the playoffs that every team was in the last rankings? Yes. And am I poor? Yes. So my money is telling me Notre Dame. I want Army to cover. I want Army to win outright. But as a betting man, I need Notre Dame to handle business. With that being said, give me Army plus the 14.5 and Notre Dame money line.
Yeah, you're fucked, bud. Give me Notre Dame minus 14.5. I don't want it to happen, but considering that they just beat the dog piss out of Navy 2 weeks ago, with the same exact spread, I don't see how it couldn't happen unless Notre Dame pulls.
Navy also had 6 turnovers in that game.
Yes, when they
five
had
of them
2
being-
the entire year.
5 of them
That's
being
fair.
fumbles. So
I still just I don't trust it. I think unfortunately Notre Dame is gonna pull away with this game. So give me Notre Dame.
I also feel like since he's not here tonight, he still would love to be represented. Parker will take Army money line with a big middle finger to Notre Dame in its entirety.
Cole would probably ride that as well.
So Josh, where are you at?
I've made this bet before. I'm going to make it every single time. 14.5 is too many against the Service Academy. Give me Army.
All right, Ethan, you're probably going to be the only one seeing the window on that game.
That's
What do we
okay.
got next?
That's okay. I don't actually put money on Notre Dame. So.
I put this one on here because it felt obligatory.
I would agree. This you
It's
mentioned
the
earlier.
Pac-12 championship game.
You mentioned earlier, Josh. This is the only Pac-12 game the entire year.
Yeah, it's got to be.
We have Washington State at Oregon State, so a battle of the Northwest. This is going to be an interesting game. Oregon State is a 13.5 point favorite at home. Over
Dog.
under. You have it listed as favorite. They are a 13.5 point dog at
No,
home.
you don't.
Over under a 56.5, so we expect a lot of points.
Yeah, no defense is played by either team.
I mean, that's the way that the Pac-12 has always been. So
Never
I'm
changed,
actually,
baby.
yeah, I'm glad to see that the Pac-12 teams that moved to the Big Ten have changed a little bit. So good to see that defense still riding strong in the Big Ten.
Yeah, the fact that they kept this game at 6:00 and did not push it to 9:30 p.m. for another Pac-12 after dark is bullshit. The fact that they're hiding the Pac-12 championship on the CW network, bullshit.
Forgot about that.
Give me Washington State minus the 12.5. Give me the over here, and just hope for a fun one.
I'm with you, Tyler. I'm going to be watching this with a drink in my hand. It'd be a great one for a Bapple. It would be an amazing one for a Bapple. But alas, they won't give us our Bush Bapple back. So I have 13.5. If you're gonna give me 12.5, I'll take Washington State minus 12.5.
I think I'm on Wash State as well. They're the better team. They have been for a couple of years now at this point. So I'm going to stick with them. Give me Wash State. Let's head into our next game. We got Alabama heading into Oklahoma. Oklahoma, a 13.5-point underdog. For good reason. They suck this year.
Their offense sucks. Their defense is pretty good.
They just have not looked good. I take it back. They've looked awful offensively all year. This is an easy one for me. Give me Alabama to cover the 13.5.
Yeah, I'm also going to be on Alabama here. Oklahoma they don't have the offensive firepower that we were expecting at the beginning of the year. They've had some quarterback struggles. Bama here, easy on the road. I think Oklahoma, it could potentially help them that they're in Stillwater, but this Alabama team being do or die at this point with 2 losses, I don't see them losing this game. And I think that they really need a big blowout win here. They can't have anything close because it's nut cutting time with the committee, and anybody could get bounced at any given day. Granted, they're number 7 right now. I don't see them getting bounced, but just make a statement here. Get a dominant win. Solidify yourself, because you can't have a loss at all. You're gone. You have a loss, you're out.
Worth mentioning, Alabama in the SEC race does not control anything.
Yes, we won't be seeing Alabama in the conference.
The only thing they control is if they win out and some fucky stuff happens, maybe they sneak in. But I don't think they want to. Realistically, I don't think they want to sneak in. They have to win out.
With losses to 2 opponents that are ranked above them in the SEC standings, they're not there. I don't think there's a single way that they can get in.
Yeah, I think
Vandy's not ahead of them.
I guess you're right in that aspect. My bad, Pimp.
But again, Alabama doesn't want to make it into the championship game because if they took a 3rd loss, they're dead. So I will take Bama minus the 13.5. I don't love it just because Oklahoma's defense is really good. But their offense is so inept. I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama gets 10 off of turnovers at least. So
yep, I think hopefully Bama's able to find a way to make the playoffs even without getting that conference championship, which I don't think is going to be too tough for them.
Dude, next week, Iron Bowl, it's going to be perfect. Auburn's going to steal it. Auburn's going to steal the fucking bid.
Auburn would love to rip Alabama out of the playoffs.
That's what the game is for. Every year, everyone says it doesn't matter if one team's 0-10 and the other team's 10-0. It doesn't matter.
It'll be fun, but I think Bama wins out here. We see them in the playoffs, most likely playing a road game. But it is what it is. So what's next?
Next one we got Iowa State heading into Utah. Utah, a 7.5-point underdog. Iowa State has looked awful the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, they righted the ship last week against Cincinnati.
They looked awful, but Utah's 1-6 in conference play. Cam Rising is officially a missing child.
Toast.
Cam Rising hasn't played in 2 months.
Yeah, for slamming his finger on a Gatorade cooler. And Zach Wilson's little brother, Isaac, is horrible. Give me Iowa State on the road here. Last year, not a chance. I would have taken Utah money line. The home team, the home field advantage was too much. Shit don't exist this year. So Iowa State, easy.
Yeah. Like you said, Tyler, Utah's just not the same environment that it was the last really like 3 years. Iowa State, another team that controls nothing. They have to win out, and hope Colorado loses one. And then I don't know how the tiebreakers work out for them from there, but that's what it comes down to. And they also need Arizona State to win this week against BYU. And then they just need help. I guess it would be best for them if BYU wins.
Yeah.
That would knock Arizona State below them. And then they just need some help on the Colorado
They need
front.
Kansas to beat Colorado and boogeyman the fucking Big 12.
Yeah, that's Iowa State's path realistically, and then Colorado has Oklahoma State next week, so they need Oklahoma State to have one good game. The only thing they like I said, the only thing they control is winning out, and I think they'll do that this week and cover the 7.5.
Well, I gotta be honest, I'm starting to get tired of betting Iowa State, but
I hear you.
I'm gonna stick with them this time. Give me Iowa State minus 7.5.
I like it. What's next?
Last one, Texas A&M going into Auburn. Auburn 2.5-point dogs at home, total 46.5. Tyler, you got eyes on this Auburn squad last week.
Yeah. SEC environment was horrible last week. Yes, it was cupcake week. This is Auburn at night against a big opponent. It's going to be a hell of an atmosphere. I just, through the entire season, haven't seen it. You talked about it with Alabama next week, Josh, but they have the potential to completely eliminate Texas A&M's hopes this week with a win at home.
Well, no, not from the playoffs. Yes. Well, no, not even from the playoffs, because Texas A&M would fall to 5 into that X-2 scrum.
Yeah,
in the SEC.
Essentially, though, eliminating them. It'd be a big tiebreaker thing, and we don't have to dive into it.
I don't know how their tiebreakers work, so
I don't trust Peyton Thorne. I've never trusted Peyton Thorne. Auburn struggles to win. They struggle to win. They actually do play pretty well when tough teams go in there. They took Georgia to the wire last year. They took Bama to the wire last year. So I mean,
they took Georgia to the wire this year, did they not?
No.
They rode someone to the wire.
So
no, they gave Georgia a fit. Georgia just pulled away at the end of that game.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But that game wasn't in Auburn. That was in Georgia for this year. At home, they're a different beast. I'm going to take Texas A&M. I've watched more of them this year. Actually, that's not true. I've unfortunately watched a lot of Auburn. I'm just an Auburn hater. Everybody down here loves Auburn. I'd love to see my buddy Taylor cry. He's already saying it's basketball season. They're talking
Is he the one that was in the Carhartt in the 60-degree weather last week?
Yeah, so that's the state of Auburn football. Is their fans are wearing Carhartt jackets in 63-degree weather while tailgating. Team soft, fans are soft. It is what it is. Give me Texas A&M.
Oh, this is a tough one for me. Neither team is good at covering the spread, so I'm having a little bit of a trouble with this. Though where the money is currently at is wild right now. If Auburn doesn't cover, then the books are going to lose a metric fuckload of money. 90% of the money line is on A&M. 89% of the spread is on A&M.
Oh, man.
So if Auburn wins this game outright, the book's fucked.
Yeah. And I obviously I was going to say the money line showing it, but it's not. Man, this is tough. A&M against the spread 3-7.
Right. I'm looking at that right now.
They're 8-2. That's their record. They're 8-2. They're 3-7 against the spread. So even when they're winning, they're not covering.
Well, they've had their spreads that they have not covered. When they won, 47.5, 21, 6.5. They won by 6. 21, 38.5.
I mean, Auburn is at least 2-1 covering when they're an underdog. A&M 3-5 when they're the favorite. I think I gotta go Auburn to cover. Like, I very much could see this as being a 1 to 2 point game. So I think that's where it makes the most sense.
I think if you're taking Auburn in the points, you're taking the money line. Realistically.
That's fair. I think personally I'd buy it up to 3.5. I'd feel comfortable at 3.5.
I would, yeah, I hear you there. I'm going to take A&M minus 2.5 because they have to win to control their shit. And at this point in the year, if you have a chance to control your destiny, you need to handle your business, especially against a bad team like Auburn.
Not cutting time, A&M.
That's all we got for college. Any hidden gems out there, boys?
This week's lines are sharp, man. It's the end of the season. I don't have many. Do you have any, Josh?
I have 3.
Okay,
one of them I'm not the biggest fan of.
All right.
Trying to remember who Ole Miss plays. Sorry.
They play Florida.
Okay, so, and I bought like 2 points on that. Hang on, I got it in a note. Nope, I erased it. I bought Ole Miss down to minus 8.5 against Florida. That gets you minus 136 odds. Not bad. I'm buying a point up on Kentucky for 21.5. They're playing Texas. It's scary. But Kentucky has been taking teams and dragging them into the deep end all year. So we're going to ride that, hope for a little bit of a slow die. It is in Lexington, correct?
It's in Texas. It's in Austin.
It's in Austin. I mean, it doesn't change my pick, but that would have made me feel a lot better about it. And then the one that I'm not the biggest fan of, Vandy plus 7.5 against LSU. LSU's kind of on a skid right now. I would love to see Vandy do one more cool win before the end of the year is really kind of where this comes out of. And those are my 3 hidden gems.
Ethan, you got any?
The only one I have, and I don't necessarily have a pick toward it. Actually, I take that back. I have no pick. I have 2 games that I would like to mention that are going to be very good watches. Number 1 being the Wisconsin-Nebraska game.
I almost put that as a gem.
I actually have a pick there, and it's going to be Nebraska minus 2.5.
That's where I was.
Wisconsin's going to come off the Oregon flu. You play a hard team, close loss, heartbreaker. I just see Nebraska jumping them and taking advantage here.
I agree, and
I love that.
Especially because whichever one of these teams ends up winning is ultimately going to be in a much better spot to be bowl eligible. I think that's one of the reasons you should be watching this game or should want to watch this game.
Well, winner of this game is bowl eligible. That's just point blank period.
So I think that one's going to be really fun to watch. I would take Nebraska on that one. And then one that I don't know enough to put my money on, but that would be interesting to watch. You have Western Kentucky going up against Liberty. That game's a 1.5 point spread. Western Kentucky is 7-3, Liberty 7-2. So it's going to be a dogfight in that game. I would like to say I would probably take Western Kentucky. They're an underdog going into Liberty. They just seem like a more put together football team, I think.
Do you have anything other than the Nebraska game?
Yeah, my other one was Boston College +3 at home against UNC.
I like that as well.
I like Bill O'Brien and the boys there. So that's my last hidden gem, and let's bump this shit to the NFL, boys.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you tired of the same old boring shirts? Well, we've got something exciting for you. Introducing the Tavern Sports Pocket Tee, where style meets passion for the game. Whether you're a diehard fan or just like the environment, Tavern Sports has got you covered, literally. The best part, because you're listening to Show Me the Money, you can use the code $$ to get 15% off today. So what are you waiting for? Head over to tavern-sports.square.site right now and elevate your game day experience. Tavern Sports. Beer, betting, sports.
All right, let's take a look at our NFL games for the weekend. We're going to start off. God damn it, we got to watch the Bears again this week.
Vikings
Yeah,
minus
you don't
three
have
and
to.
Vikings
You don't
minus
have
three and
to.
a half. Thank you. Next.
Yeah, honestly. One thing I did want to bring up. Do you guys, Tyler, do you think it's time to fire Poles and let the interim OC just run this bitch, or
Poles is not the problem.
not Poles, Flus.
Eberflus, it's time to go. It was time for Eberflus to go next year or last year. Here's my problem. Brian Poles has done great drafting, managing the team, managing the roster. Eberflus, on the other hand, has done terrible. At the end of the year last year, the defense really started to bite in and dig into his culture and what he was bringing on. This year, the defense has been non-existent. The secondary has been bruised up and battered. I get that. The D-line has nothing going on. Sweat tries, but nothing going on there. And then the offense has been the offense. Granted, Flus, the defensive guy, the offense looked better last week with the new interim OC. Do I think it's time you give the interim OC the entire reins? Absolutely not. What I hate to see is the same cycle that is going to get continued forever and ever and ever. Amen, because we're Bears fans. And that's, we're going to draft a quarterback with the old regime still in place. The old regime is going to suck their first year with the new quarterback. And the organization is going to go, let's give them one more year to ruin this new quarterback. Fire them. And then bingo, the fucking quarterback's in his second year on his second system. For Caleb, it'd be his third in 3 years. If we fire Flus,
third in 2 years, be his third in 2 years.
Yeah, if we fire Flus, right? He's coming out of college. He has Lincoln Riley's system. Then he has
Waldron's.
He has Waldron's offense. Now he has this new guy's
Brown.
offense.
Guy's name is Brown.
If you fire Flus and bring in a new head coach, you're going to have a new head coach who brings in a new OC. That would be 4. That would be then the 4th system.
So the reason I said get rid of Flus, promote this interim OC, he was the interim head coach in in Carolina last year. He was the OC in Carolina last year, and he had head coaching interviews in the offseason last year. This guy is seen as an up and comer. He's a Sean McVay tree guy. So he has a pedigree. And I think if he does good enough, I think we would just promote him and keep him full time.
I just, for the sake of Caleb, either get rid of Flus but if you get rid of Flus,
Kingsbury out of Washington, give him another head coaching.
I wouldn't hate that. My thing is we're just gonna flood Caleb's head, and he's not gonna know what's going on. He has the talent, we've seen that, but Flus just shows he can't get it done. He can't win a one-possession game. We're 0-5 under his tenure when our win percentage mid-game says it's over 90%. If we have over 90% and there's still considerable amount of time on the clock, we lose. So he just can't keep getting away with this shit. I think he should have been fired last year. If I'm a GM... He
should have been fired last week at the bare minimum.
If I'm a GM, if you're bringing in a brand new quarterback, you got to bring in a brand new coach and everything for him, because it just doesn't work like that. Because now you're going to fire him. You're going to flood him with new people, new systems, new philosophies, and it's not going to work. We did this shit to Justin Fields. We did this shit to Jay Cutler.
Mitch.
We did it to Mitch. It's just, it is what it is, and I'm tired of seeing it as a Bears fan. So, like I said, give me the Vikings minus 3.5. Did we play better last week? Yes. Do I think that was because it was the Packers and at home? Sure. I think Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison run crazy on our secondary, and it is what it is. So,
and on top of that, Ty, you missed one of their most important additions in the second half of the season. TJ Hawkinson is back and has been tearing it up. So between those 3 guys, they are going to absolutely fuck us up on offense. So
and something a lot of people miss, Tyreek Stevenson was at his bullshit again last week. He could get benched this game. Like he could be serve like a team suspension or something. Also at the halftime of the Packers game, they did Hester's Hall of Fame ceremony for the Bears. The McCaskies were out there. They got booed, hardcore booed.
As they
But
should.
one other name I wanted to bring up for a possible Bears coach, Signetti.
He ain't fucking leaving.
Google him.
Indiana for
What's
a
he
year.
do? What's he do?
He wins, but he's not coming to the NFL after a year. Would I be mad if they paired Lincoln Riley back up? I don't know if his game transitions to the NFL, but he makes Caleb Williams work. So
I heard the Oregon head coach in
Dan Lanning
talks.
ain't leaving. That motherfucker is getting all the money in the world in Oregon.
Let's move on. I'm on the Vikings too, but I just want to talk Bears for a little
Vikings
bit.
-3.5. Bears team total under. Bears to punt every drive. You can live bet that shit. You can. Bears next drive odd punt. You're gonna hit that 8 out of 12 times, and you'll be fine.
I like Bears to score first drive this game.
We did that last week. We're not doing it 2 weeks in a row. Sorry, Josh. Next game.
We didn't score first drive, did we?
Field
We made that one.
Yeah. Next game we got the Chiefs headed into Carolina to take on the Panthers. I feel like
Do you want to know why it's there?
Yeah, let's hear it. Why is this there? It's a 10.5 point spread. Why is this there?
Every time the Chiefs have a big number, they don't cover it.
Yep.
And I harp on this every time. This is the time they cover it. They will cover 10.5 against the Panthers. I fucking promise.
Neither one of these teams are all that great of covering the spread. Kansas City 4-5-1 this year. Carolina 3-7, and it feels like every time that Carolina has a big spread like this, they don't cover it. So
Mahomes doesn't cover anything over 5.5 though. Like I've
not
harped
wrong.
on that numerous times this year.
Pacheco is supposed to be back, so I have a little bit more confidence, I think.
I'm going Chiefs minus the
Yeah.
10.5 because they're playing the Panthers. That's why
Agreed.
it's here.
It's a no touch for me. Neither of these teams cover the spread. The Panthers are horrible. The Chiefs don't cover. No pick.
Fair
I
enough.
think I would choose the Chiefs, but I'm also not putting my money on this. I think there's other stuff in this game you can put your money on that would be better worth your investment.
Next one.
Yeah, we got the Lions headed into Indiana. I expect this one to be a blowout.
Yeah. Rewind, repeat last week. I mean, they got AR that's just gonna be throwing fucking moonshots to this Lions secondary. They're gonna get 3 picks.
Yeah. The Lions defense has been nails. Indiana defense has been terrible. Jared Goff last week put up 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. They scored almost 60 points, if I'm correct. Is that right?
They let their shit hang. I know that.
Yeah. I mean, literally every one of their fantasy players scored above 20 points. So I expect them to continue that this week. I think that they are fighting for that first playoff bye, and I think that they want that more than anybody else on their side of the conference. So I'm taking the Lions to cover 7.5.
Lions cover.
Lions to cover for sure.
Next game, we got 49ers versus the Packers. Packers 1.5 point favorites at home. So they are getting a little bit of that home field advantage. This is probably a little bit more of a 50-50 game. However, the 49ers
I know where
offense
you're
is
coming
banged up.
from. I know where you're coming from with that because it used to be 3 points was your home field. So this would tell you that the Niners are favored. There's new data coming out that the books have moved off of that 3.5 number, and the true advantage is now 1.5. So they're saying that this is basically a dead even game with the Packers getting the home field advantage at 1.5.
I'm going to take the Packers here just because San Francisco has not looked great, like Ethan was saying. Also, San Francisco eliminated Green Bay last year, I think Green Bay's going to be hungry. That's going to be a raucous crowd. However, Jordan Love has to take care of the football, and he has not done that well this year. So give me Jordan Love to throw a pick with the Packers money line.
Yeah,
Is CMC back yet?
he is.
Yeah.
I
Give me the
like- been
Niners.
back.
Give me the Niners.
I think I like the Packers to cover in this one. 49ers offense, I know that they have CMC back and he has looked good, but I think the Packers have a good enough defense that like I think this is where they are finally going to struggle for the first couple of games again. Their offense is pretty banged up. Ayuk's out the rest of the year still. So I think I got to go with the Packers to cover this one. I hope this is a almost a low scoring game. I've got the 49ers defense playing instead of Jordan Love at my quarterback position. So I'm hoping for a big weekend from Jared Goff. Hoping the 49ers play a good defense, but I don't have super high hopes about that one.
Well, I like the Niners also because the West is just so middling. The
Yeah.
Cardinals are 6-4. Everybody else is 5-5. So for as bad as the Niners have been, for as bad as the Rams have been, it's right there.
Yeah.
You know, like the West is waiting for someone to say, "Hey, we'll win," because we're not going to let the Cardinals win because they're the fucking Cardinals. So I think that kind of pushes the Niners over the top here.
This episode of Show Me the Money is brought to you by Tavern Sports, your place to get fun sports content, sportsbook lines and parlays, and of course food reviews with Big E's Ballpark Bites. You can follow Tavern Sports on Instagram at Tavern Sports 2023, TikTok at Tavern.Sports, and Twitter at Tavern Sports 23.
And we are back with the Tavern Sports Lock of the Week. We did get a pick from everybody from the guys who aren't here. So even though there's only the three of us on the pod, we will have 7 picks this week. Let's
I'm out,
take.
Ethan. Sorry. Update. Upset alert. Northern Iowa upsets number 8 Iowa State in women's basketball. Fuck Iowa State, baby.
I did
Fuck
see
State.
that. I got a buddy working up at UNI, and I sent that to him, and I said, "Thank you very much." That made me feel good.
Did you guys see the early viewership numbers coming out of the WNCAA for basketball this year?
I assume that they're not great.
It's down like 73% or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That sucks. They need to find another superstar.
Yes, agreed.
But
And-
back to Lock of the Weeks. Let's get through those guys that aren't here, Ethan. What do we got?
Yeah, we've got Cole going right back into the Bears offense. Well, I mean, I almost want to say the Iowa Hawkeyes offense. He's betting on Torrey Taylor to have more punts than the Vikings. So I don't blame the guy. I think that bet's probably going to hit. It's plus 100 as well. So definitely fits in our lock odds. I got to say, well done, Cole. I think that's a great bet.
I get why Cole does it, but I root against him every week because I have to. But he can't keep getting away with this. He threw a fit last week because his lock missed by like 7 seconds, dude.
Yep.
You'll have that.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So good for Cole. We'll see if he continues. He is right at 500, so you want to see it hit. You also don't want to see it hit. It's one of those ones that you fight for. But next one, we got Clark going into the weeds a little bit. He's got UNLV versus San Jose State. He's got the under of 63.5. So he's betting on a lot of points to not happen, which
A lot of points, just not that many.
that's true. That's true.
And he bought like 2 points here. The true line's like 61.5.
Okay. Which he likes to get every point he can. That's probably
Yeah.
right around the
I
150
checked
mark.
it. He's good. It's like
Okay.
146 or something like that.
Perfect. Parker also has a weeds pick here. He's going with Marshall plus 2.5. So that's another kind of strange one. John also sent his lock. He's going to go with an NFL pick. Ravens, Chargers under 51.5. So also expecting less points in that one. Josh, what do you got for us lock of the week wise? You got anything yet?
I was listening to you talk. I didn't. I forgot I was supposed to pick a lock.
It's an ugly week. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I've found one that I'm super confident in. I think
I've got one.
Okay, you go first, Ty.
Which the books, fuck them. Tomorrow night, give me the Steelers. I have to take them at dead nuts -3 against the Browns, as buying a point from 3.5 to 2.5 will cost you 53 cents.
Jesus.
Yeah, from -110 at 3.5 to -163 at 2.5. So I'll take them at 3 on the nuts at -139. Steelers -3 against the Browns.
Ouch. I think I'm gonna go with one of the picks that we talked about earlier. I think that I gotta go with oh God, where did it go? There it is. And I gotta go with Indiana against Ohio State. I think 13.5 points is gonna be a little bit too many. I'm actually gonna take it at plus 14.5. I believe the odds on that are like minus 140-ish. So I think that's where I feel comfortable is 2 touchdowns. I think Indiana has the opportunity to do it.
I like it.
Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to take Ole Miss. I am going to buy the 2.5 points, like I said in my hidden gems, to -8.5 at Florida in the Swamp.
All righty.
Well done.
Well, fade me. That's going to pay you.
Probably fade me as well, honestly.
That's going to do it for this episode of Show Me the Money. Thank you for joining. We will see you on the next one. Make sure you place those bets. And of course, show me the money.
Definitely.